What is good, hunters? Welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk about the spooking mechanics in Way of the Hunter. This has caused a lot of hunters grief, confusion. I myself have been confused, and hopefully we can shed some light, because a lot of this is not clear to us. It's based on our experience, trial and error. I've spent countless hours studying the spooking mechanics, and I've found what works for me, and hopefully I'm going to share that so it can help you if it confuses you. My findings are based on hunter difficulty. If you're looking for a ranger, fellow YouTuber Bumblewood, he covered this very sad topic on ranger mood if that's what you're looking for. If you play on any difficulty under hunter, you will have a lot easier time approaching animals. If you find it difficult, hopefully this video can help you, because anything under hunter, the spooking mechanics is very forgiving. This will also depend on your playstyle. I know a lot of hunters wait for animals to come to them. I don't. I have a very aggressive playstyle. I go to the animal. That's the way I like to play. So this will all come down to playstyle. You may have a different result because of how you play. Again, a lot of this is not clear. I have almost 3,000 hours in this game, and I have spent countless hours studying this, and I've found a way that works for me, for my playstyle, and hopefully this works for you. So let's get into it. Spooking, what is it and how does it happen? We believe that spooking happens mainly because of movement and noise. The dev has always said that, take cover, hide behind trees, bushes. To me, that does not work. That's not my experience. I firmly believe that line of sight is not a thing. What I feel matters is proximity to the animals. Hills don't matter, all those things don't matter. What matters is how far are you away from the animal, and this works in a straight line to the animal. If you move left or right, from my experience, you won't spook animals much. The way this works is that there seems to be a hidden meter that builds up as you approach animals, as you come into sort of their space. And this makes sense because sometimes you'll just be walking around, looking around for animals, and you would spook an animal. You didn't hear them, you didn't see them. And I believe this meter starts building even before we are aware of it. And before you know it, you spook an animal. The animals do give us sound cues that they're around. And if you pay close attention, you will hear it, and then you can adjust your speed or your walk accordingly. I feel what the game does is that it encourages you to really observe these animals. I think it's important that when you encounter a herd or an animal, that you figure out what state they're in. What are they doing? Are they resting? Are they eating, drinking? And I think this will kind of help you or dictate how you approach that animal. And I believe this is what sets Way of the Hunter apart, is that spooking can be very jarring, especially coming from other games, and it can make your hunts very, very difficult. The thing you want to avoid is an animal seeing you before you see it. This can make your life very difficult. It lengthens the hunt, and for most, it will end up in a failed hunt. As you approach a herd, what you will notice is that you'll get a sound and a visual cue. Now, the distance that show up on the analysis, you want to take into consideration that there's a possibility that the animal could be closer than what it's stating. This is one of the only things that the dev have confirmed, is that animals are closer than they appear. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Same concept. So example, if the meter says 60 to 80 in distance, I would consider it 60 to 70. You always want to chip away and take a couple meters off of that distance, because 9 times out of 10 the animal is fairly close to you. Now at this distance, I believe the spook meter is sitting at 95%, because as long as you're within that range, most animals will be alert to your presence. They will stop what they're doing, they will look at you. And if you move, if in any way you move towards that animal in that state, in that alert state, you will push the meter to 100% and spooking will be activated. Now, the closer you get to the animal, the less leverage you have when you're moving towards the animal. This meter will fill up very fast, and your only option is to literally walk as slowly as you can and be patient. You basically have to sort of outweight the animal. Now, we need to talk about walking speeds. And the only two that I'm concerned with is when you're crouched. So when you're crouched, the normal walking speed is what I would consider normal walking, because that's the way I walk around when I hunt. When you encounter an animal, you want to go into the slower speed. There's a big difference here. I believe that the normal speed carries a lot more noise compared to this slow walk option that we do have. This must be considered, especially the closer you are to the animal. If you walk in that normal state, you will spook the animal a lot faster. Now, when these animals are alerted, they stay in this status for a fairly decent time. Because what happens is that as long as they're aware that you're there and they're alerted, they go into what I call a modified state. And this means that their routine that they were once doing before you encounter them is now modified. It's now modified. They're not going to continue doing that. So in this state, animals will break their routine. And you will have to wait a lot longer for them to return to that routine. So you may ask, well, how would I know if an animal's routine has been modified? If you observe closely, you will see them standing around, pacing around back and forth. They will look very uneasy. They'll be restless, always looking in your direction. Sometimes they'll walk away from that zone because you have interrupted their original routine, and they're hanging around to see if they can return to that zone. And this could be 2 to 3 minutes. You really have to be patient, because if you wait this out, eventually you'll be able to get a good shot on the animal and they will return to a routine, but it will be different than how you encountered them. But it will at least give you a chance to get a shot on the animal. This is how I believe hunting pressure is implemented. This creates an overall pressure to this zone. And I believe it happens when you break animal routines, especially if you shoot at them. As long as this is disrupted, you slowly build pressure on this zone. And I feel, from my experience, that is how it's sort of implemented. So you want to be aware of that any actions around a zone or an area, whenever you encounter these animals, it will add pressure to that zone. And I feel overall, this is my experience, and really taking my time to understand what status these animals are in, walking super slowly and outweighting them, has brought me much success at this higher difficulty. And I enjoy the game a whole lot more. It's no longer frustrating to me. I know exactly what to do when I'm in the range of an animal. I do make mistakes, and we will all make mistakes, and you're going to spook here and there. Sometimes I feel that's inevitable. I think that's by design. You're going to spook a whole ton of animals. But when you really understand the mechanics and you understand animal behavior, it really adds to your hunt and you would spook less. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. What's your experience? If this has helped you any. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next video.